people, welcome back to the Propagandist channel as we continue on reacting to the RWBY Volume OST. So we're moving on to Volume 5 in this episode, and I will re-emphasise what I actually think I remember saying in the previous episode when we did the Volume 4 OST reaction. I honestly do not remember the OST of Volume 5 at all. I don't remember the opening theme, I really just don't remember all that much by way of the music from that volume. It's kind of strange because I guess it kind of goes to show that Volume 5, if I had to sort of make a judgment, is probably sort of maybe the weakest volume in the show overall, just in terms of the fact that, from what we obviously remember of Volume 5 itself, it was a volume that suffered, I think, a lot during production from diversion of resources away to things like Genlock at the time, things like that, and as a result, crew became under pressure they had to meet deadlines, and so as a result they were having to do that with fewer resources, and as such they ended up basically not being able to include everything they wanted to include in that volume, hence why certain aspects of it turned out the way they did. At least that's my understanding of what went on back in the day with the production of this. And so like I say, it's been a while since I myself sat down and watched Volume 5. I can't even remember actually how many years ago it was that I did my Let's Watch of Volume 5 here on the channel. It was, in fact, Volume 5, of course, was my first ever RWBY reaction here on the channel, so I'm going to indulge in a bit of nostalgia for a moment. And if you go and watch those videos, you'll probably notice that the room I'm in is completely different to the one I'm in now, because if I remember correctly, I think when I did my RWBY Volume 5 reaction, I was still living in the north of England. So, God, yeah, this would have been more than 8 years ago. Holy shit, nearly, not far from 10 years ago, to put it that way. So, yeah, I didn't need to suddenly feel old all of a sudden, but now I feel old. Yeah, that's an incredible thing about it. I mean, I know I have watched the odd RWBY reactor since I originally watched Volume 5. But again, even with that under my belt, I still just don't remember the soundtrack of Volume 5 at all, which is really, really interesting. But I guess maybe it's just that overall, maybe Volume 5 not only is generally deemed to be deemed by the fandom, as far as I'm aware, to be the weakest volume of RWBY, but probably I also felt very much the same way. Don't get me wrong, I think, I didn't dislike Volume 5 by any means, but it didn't really stand out to me all that much either. It had its moments, but it also had its indicators that, production had a few issues back in the day and all that. So yeah, this will be almost like going back into the soundtrack completely blind, in effect, which will be quite something. Now, something else I should mention, and special thanks to people. I just heard a noise then. I'll get to what that was in a moment. So special thanks to people on the channel who've been commenting, especially those of you who've recommended a solution to the problem of me not having any lyrics and all that. And I can't believe I didn't think of this before. I guess I just blanked it for some reason. But people suggested, why don't you have the lyrics open on another device in the background whilst you're doing the reaction, so on your phone, for example, something like that. And I realised, shit, how have I not thought of that? I guess I just had a derp moment and all that, and just for some reason did not think to do that. But yeah, it occurred to me I could do that. So that's what I've done. I've set up a laptop over there. You can't really see it. It's on my desk, just within arm's reach, where basically I've got several tabs open because I found out that on the RWBY fandom, the wiki, for the soundtrack, they actually have the lyrics for every song listed on there. So I literally could have just been using that this whole time. I could have just had that open in the background on my laptop, and my spare laptop that I use for just random odds and ends, and I could have just had that there and be scrolling down through each song, looking at the lyrics as we listen to it. So, better late than never, I guess. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that, ladies and gentlemen. I just had a brain fart, I guess, and it for some reason never occurred to me that I could just do that. So yeah, that's a solution right there. So now, although you're not going to have lyrics on screen, I am going to be able to see them off to the side as we're listening to these songs. So obviously normally when I do these recordings and once we get to the reaction itself, I'm always sort of towards this side of the screen, whereas my laptop is over this side, so I'm sort of like positioned a bit over like this, and I'll have to sort of lean across like that. But so if you see me sort of leaning across throughout this video, that's what I'm doing. I'm basically just pressing my laptop to sort of like scroll down so I can see the lyrics and all that. And yeah, that sound you heard just a moment ago, that was just my laptop giving me a security notification. And what I should probably actually do is, this is very professional, ladies and gentlemen, I should actually turn the sound off on my laptop so it's not interrupting me with notifications or anything like that. There we go, so that's just sorted there. There was something else as well that I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, that's what it was. So something, of course, that we have been doing through the reactions to the first 4 volumes. Obviously on these soundtracks, apart from the main songs, there's often also remixes of other tracks that we've already seen on other volume OSTs, that kind of thing. And Volume 5 is no exception. When I looked at the list of songs on Internet Archive, there's about 10 of them, and about 3 of them are basically different versions of existing songs. Now, people in the comments were saying, I technically don't need to react to those ones, since technically they are songs that I've already listened to. And I thought to myself, I could subtract them. I might sort of listen to them on a case-by-case basis, just depending on how I feel. So if, I get to, say, track 8 or 9 in this particular reaction, and I feel like just adding on the remixes as well, then I will do. But yeah, it's good to know that I don't technically need to listen to the remixes as well, because obviously these OST reaction videos are, they're quite long overall. Some of them are getting up to 50 minutes, potentially almost as long as an hour or more. So subtracting the remixes probably can help just maybe keep them to size, but it depends how I feel. I might still include them anyway, just because I think they're nice to include. It's interesting to hear remix versions of the some of the tracks, even if, as has been the case in some of them, I didn't really like them necessarily. Cough that James Landino remix of, what was it, one of the ones on the Volume 3 OST, I think it was, where I was like, my reaction to that was great. I was sort of sat there like making some real facial expressions like, what is that? But yes. Alright, well, you know what, that's probably enough of me gassing away about random shenanigans. Let's actually get to the V5 OST itself. Okay, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. So, the RWBY Volume 5 OST, first song is The Triumph at 4 minutes 14. Let's just go. 3, 2, 1, start. Oh, now it's coming back to me. So, having the laptop with the lyrics is now much more helpful. It does mean that I'm now going to be looking away from the camera quite frequently towards here. So it is very much, about desperation, but also hope. Yeah, it's just got a very particular feel, this one. Yeah, it's a message of hope, of Team RWBY continuing on despite everything that's happened. Okay, next one is Ignite, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, like I say, I really don't remember that opening theme, the Triumph. It's just gone from my head and all that. Are you playing, please? Track? God dang it. Internet Archive has been really slow recently. I don't know why. God dang it, is it, come on. Hurry up. Can you play, please? There we go, this is Ignite. Sorry. Why the hell was it not buffering then? Well, this is very professional, ladies and gentlemen. I may have to try jump cutting this out if I can. For some reason, Internet Archive then was just refusing to buffer the second track. That was really annoying. All right, Ignite, happening probably now.
Hello there, my enemy. Welcome to my punching spree. This is where I lay waste and you'll go home bleeding. Didn't have to be this way. Should have stayed out of the fray. Now you're heading for a beating. Didn't mother warn you? Now she's gonna mourn you. Being damned inside you'll end this day. You're a big mess, 'cause I'm relentless. I gotta tell you I'm on fire today.
Who's this about? Or what's the theme? Yang, Reshape and Spark. Your symmetry. It's like the quote, the line at the very start of the Yellow trailer, the one that shows up in text. Oh, there's literally a line that just goes Yang. Yeah, well, it's her. It's about her resurgence. I mean, technically it talked about Mother a moment ago, which I assume refers to Raven.
Usually I devastate, this I might annihilate. Any minute now you're gonna ruin me. Messing with my family means I soon your history. The moments of your life are fleeting. Looking pretty tattered, your blood is really splattered. Won't be long until I end this game. You're looking toothless, I'm feeling ruthless. Watch me burn as you go down in flames. Aching any remarkable heart has gone through the hardship and shame. That's part of standing apart from the easily processed, the uniform army of same. And that's just so
Some long lines coming up here.
I dominate and desecrate, leave you in a foul state, put you in the trap.
I had a feeling it was going to be a rap section.
Don't you know wild bro, bet you'll understand when I'm pissing on your ashes, son. Told you I'm I'm torturous. When you feel a force
Pissing on your ashes.
Cardiac explosion, bitch, blood
Okay.
broken no school, this a bloodbath. Try to get away, but there's no escaping Alcatraz. Look what you made me do. Told you I was sorry, you fools. You lose blood, cold ice water. Do riches in my bag of tricks. Hit you with the baddest licks ever. You'll never contend. I win. Bringing out the beast in me, challenging my decency. Now I gotta ask, do you really want a piece of me? Hope you're ready for the pain. Suffer when I hit your brain. Erase your essence from earth. No need to explain.
Please don't die to these eyes of fire. You're going to regret this little fight. You don't wanna mess with me, I'm something higher. Anguish you'll know for your miserable plight. Soon you'll be known your mistake. Come alive. Let yourself suffer, you'll watch me ignite.
It was a decent one. It was a decent one, that one. Next one is Path to Isolation. Assuming, oh god, yeah, Internet Archive is being an annoyance again. It's being a bit of an annoying because it's not buffering correctly. Well, you know, whilst I'm waiting for it to buffer, you know, I can always sort of give thoughts between each of these tracks. It definitely feels, yeah, much more sort of Yang coded, that one, to put it that way. So, yeah, absolutely sort of makes sense, that one, in terms of what it's all about, because, like I say, it has references to Yang's mother, I'm guessing, things like that, sort of the relationship between them. That's what it felt like anyway. Okay, have you buffered now, Internet Archive? No, you have not. Path to Isolation. Oh my goodness, why is it being so slow? I don't know why. It was never this slow previously. I think it's just having a problem. Oh, come on. This is going to add on so much time to the bloody video. This is. Why is it taking so bloody long to figure out what it's supposed to be doing? Come on now. Right, hold on, let me just turn the sound down again. If I go back to the one we had previously and then go to this one. Is this fucking working? Come on now. Oh my god, right. This is going to be a real unprofessional video, this is. Sorry to say, but for some reason Internet Archive is just refusing to do what I need it to do. And that is... Okay, here we go. Finally, it freaking... Is it? Are you playing? Are you going to play? Path to Isolation? There we go. Good lord.
The unexpected loss of something dear.
You know, given how long these reactions normally are, this is just adding more time on. When Internet Archive just decides to be a complete bitch about it. Yeah, if this keeps up, I may not bother with the remix songs, to be honest.
In its place, there's nothing, just an endless empty hole. The light that showed the way is gone, and darkness takes control. Bitterness and anger are quick to fill the void. The path to isolation is littered with the dreams that lay destroyed.
I wonder what the theme here is, or who this is possibly about. Growing... Just looking at the lyrics. Sorry, I jumped ahead for a moment. Is it about Weiss, surrounded by enemies who sometimes appear as friends? But then I thought, is it about Ruby? Looking in the mirror, I see someone I don't recognise because she's changing.
That my heart used to know is illusory. I'm moved, and the one thing I feel is alone. But I'm speeding, and I'm spinning and sinking, awakening. Frozen in solitude, loneliness chills through the
go, Internet Archive. Keep buffering the track, please. It's catching up with the point at which it's buffered to. Oh, there we go. It's sorted itself out. It could be about Ruby, possibly. But the mirror references. No, it's got to be about Weiss. Yeah, that's a funny one. I feel like elements of that could apply to Ruby, but obviously when it says mirror, that just immediately makes you think of Weiss. So, because you know, a lot of Weiss's motifs always have mirror in the title and all that. Once again, frigging bloody Internet Archive is taking its sweet time to load up the next track. Well, I'll just try and talk in the meantime then, to fill the silence whilst it frigging sorts itself out, because it's very, very annoying when it does this. In fact, actually, you know, flicking back to one of the previous tracks and then going to, here we go, to the next one, then actually makes it sort of jig itself, kind of. Are you going to start on the next track? It's called Smile, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, for fuck's sake, come on. Can you fucking work, please? Can you actually buffer the damn track? It's like, it's taking a hot minute. I don't know why Internet Archive is running so slow today. It just is, but it's really annoying me. So yeah, I mean, like that particular track, Path to Isolation, definitely feels like bits of it could apply to Ruby, bits of it could apply to Weiss, but I feel like predominantly it is maybe a very Weiss-coded track, to put it that way. Oh, for God's sake, come on. Why is this not working? Why is this running so slow today? No, go back. Is this buffering? Alright, it's finally doing something. Right, hold on. Go back there. Then turn the sound back on. And then smile. Finally. I don't know why. It's just refusing to play ball today. This feels like a different track straight off the bat.
Child, our daughter, sit while we talk a while. You've done no misdeed, still they'll put your life on trial.
This is an interesting one that it's not Casey,
Like your family,
for a change.
far from any state of grace. You're as perfect as the wind and sky, but they'll treat you like you're out of place.
This world is
Oh, there's Casey. I mean, the title of the track does say featuring Casey Lee Williams.
but we have a chance to make it right. This is what you'll do.
Is this more about Blake? No, something about it just makes me think of Blake, like powers with those who would judge and control.
It's only for a while. Take what you need, leave them to bleed. Let them know bitter while your revenge is sweet. Keep the secret, pretending you're just like them. Live there like a princess in the kingdom of selfish men.
That makes me think of Weiss,
Their game now
like a princess, kingdom of selfish men.
days to win. Steal it
That makes me think more of Blake then. Just all the references to hatred and cruelty. Just makes you think of the whole. Well, it makes you think of the White Fang, it makes you think of the Performance, it makes you think of Blake. But also, I don't know, some of the lines are also making me think, is it Blake? Actually, is it more about Adam, that one? Because, I say that because a lot of the lines, it's saying things like revenge, just leaving them to bleed, and things like this, which is very interesting. Because actually, on another level, that's not really Blake, is it? Because Blake wants peace and equality. So she wants, you know, peace between humans and faunus. Adam obviously doesn't. He just wants, get rid of the humans, leave them to bleed, that kind of thing. So maybe it's actually more of an Adam thing, that one. But then again, the title Smile. Do you think that could it relate to Adam? That's an interesting one. That could relate to more than one character, or at least elements of that could relate to more than one character. Alright, next thing is All Things Must Die. As usual, let's wait for frigging Internet Archive to decide to do what it's meant to be doing. That would be very nice if you could hurry the hell up, please, and actually do what you're supposed to be doing. It'll buffer at any moment, don't you worry. Hang on, is it ready now? No, it's not. It's going to take a hot minute to buffer the next track and all that. Okay, well, yeah, I think with the speed at which this is going, the fact that Internet Archive for some reason today is just running so slowly, I think we won't bother with the remix tracks. Because again, you know, they're basically the same songs that we've already heard, so there's no point listening to them again. There are two tracks that actually have remix in the title. There's one of Armed and Ready, and there's one of Let's Just Live. So I think we'll subtract those ones from this reaction. There's also an acoustic version of Gold, which I think we'll also maybe subtract that one as well, because again, although it'll be slightly different, it'll be the same song in essence that we had in one of the previous ones. Okay, I think it's starting to buffer properly. So let's see, All Things Must Die, are you working now? Yes, you are. Okay, you just need to wait a moment. Like I say, it's just Internet Archive's been really slow today, and I don't know why. This is perhaps the issue with doing these reactions. You're primarily using Internet Archive. It's not the best website, but it'll have to do. I still haven't figured out where I'm going to find the Volume 9 soundtrack, though. Some of you may have already commented on that, I'll have to recheck. Well, this is going for an interesting start, this one.
Day by day it's nearer. Step by step you grow closer to your ruin. Soon your time to go. Life is just a journey. Yours is near its end. Bloody evolution. This world transcend.
Story about Salem, this one, right?
Black out the sky. All things must die. This is the end. Here's where
Oh, and then it kicks in.
so just say goodbye. No one will miss you when you're finally gone. And your conclusion, sing your swan song.
I kind of enjoyed it when it wasn't the rock tune. I like that first section of it. I mean, not as bad. It's good. Oh. We're back to this. Oh, and then we're back to rock. Yeah, it was alright, that one. I'll admit, like, it was decent. The rock sections where it really amped up, I was a bit less keen on those. I kind of like the other sections where it sort of became a bit more subdued, a bit more subtle in that sense. That was very interesting and all that. Okay, next one is This Time. Let's see if I can just get it to hurry up. And, oh god, hold on. Internet Archive's little player is always a bit freaking awkward because when you mess around with the volume control, then it's easy to then misclick on the buttons that sort of take you back a track and things like that. Alright, so This Time, 4 minutes 25. So this, I think we'll only do a couple more tracks because, like I say, after this one we've got one called All That Matters. And then after that it's basically Gold, the acoustic remix, and then the other two remixes I mentioned a moment ago. So yeah, I think we'll just do this last couple of tracks for this episode. I think we'll very much, not bother with the remixes this time around, because again, they're songs we've already heard, technically. Come on, are you fucking buffering, please? Right, this time? Oh, for God's sake, right. Internet Archive is just being slow. It's taking about 600 years to decide whether it's actually going to buffer this track or not. So yeah, we'll do that. So this will be 7 tracks rather than a full 10 to 12 of them that we've been doing across the previous volume OST reactions. God dang it, this is really annoying me. This is really flipping irritating me. The fact that Internet Archive is just not playing ball today. But, sorry, I know. The vibe of this episode is going to be so different, isn't it, to the previous OST reactions. Like I say, if I can, I'll try and jump cut some of these sections between out, but the problem is I always have a bit of difficulty jump cutting like that, because as a result it becomes sometimes really difficult to make sure that when I start splitting and cutting bits of the footage out, it's difficult to ensure that what you're seeing here on my webcam and obviously the track that I'm actually listening to, I then have to try and sync them up again to make sure that they're in time with each other, which is actually really difficult sometimes. But yeah, flip it. I mean, I may just leave them in. I may just have to do that, but that's annoying. Alright, it should be fine this time. Here we go. Ooh. Off to an interesting start.
Friends, listen closely, I won't say this twice. Hope's running out and we haven't much time. Please understand that the life we once planned on is over.
Oh. Plan on is over.
Now is the time you must fight for your life. The battle is on, you're already inside. Don't turn back now, there's nowhere to hide. Nowhere to build a new world. Nowhere to start anew. Here now is all that we've got. Ready or not, there's a war to be fought. Only one way. This time, the waves of the past
an interesting one. This is very much Team RWBY trying to keep the morale up. This is RWBY herself trying to give herself the motivation. Definitely feels like Team RWBY resolving themselves to create that new world, or to correct the wrongs of the past, to prepare the world for what lies ahead and all that. So that's actually quite an interesting song, given that it kind of foreshadows, sense, the fact that these characters are going into a war here against Salem, and it's going to be difficult, but they still at this stage have that optimism that they can pull it off. So yeah, it was an interesting one overall, that was. That might be one of the standout ones from this particular track. Alright, let's make this the final track then, because this is the final sort of final song that isn't basically a remix or anything like that. All that matters, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, let me see if I can get Internet Archive to start buffering it correctly. If I just do that there. Right, I have to give it a second just to think about it. Yeah, so this time I might put that as possibly one of the interesting ones. I've been thinking recently about Team RWBY and all like the decisions they make in Volume 7 and 8 and things like that, because I know that obviously a big sort of source of debate in the fandom is, did Team RWBY always make the right decisions in Volume 7 and 8? And some people seem to really criticise the show for what they interpret as being bad decisions, which I think, I don't know. I mean, I have thoughts on that. Maybe I should make a video on that as a piece of discussion content sometime in the distant future. Who knows? Because I think there's definitely things I could say about RWBY's decision making and why I personally find that quite interesting, and why it actually makes me quite engaged with the show. Alright, final track, All That Matters. It should now work. Let's go. I'm looking at the wrong page on here, hold on. Let me just get the correct lyrics up, there we go. Oh no wait, that was the correct, shit, I've just closed the wrong bloody page. Hang on, that's not what I wanted to do at all. Yeah, it's alright, let me bring that up again. Sorry, this is so unprofessional.
Never asked you to commit your life, but I can tell you in my heart I never thought you'd up and leave me without a trace to lead me. And now you're standing here with that look in your eyes, the look that makes me hope I'll just believe your lies. You're lost, you're found, you're hard to pin down. I never know if you'll come through. Then you appear, together we're here, and that's all that matters somehow.
I mean, a lot of these tracks probably played in the ending credits of certain episodes. This one's an interesting one.
You from the shadows, maybe help you find your wings and fly. But you're a path no longer that I travel. The more I'm just defeated, my past mistakes repeated. I'll risk it once again to have you near my side. Another chance to let you just destroy my pride. You're lost, you're found, you're hard to pin down. I never know if you'll come through. Then you appear, together we're here, and that's all that matters somehow.
There's an interesting contrast between these verses.
I'm running out
Like this one, looking at the lyrics. Well, let's just listen to it first.
Everything in stride. The way I feel to you is no big deal. It's sad, but it's true that the one thing I can count on is that I can't count on you.
This is a beautiful one. I quite like this song.
You're lost, you're found, you're hard to pin down. I never know if you'll come through. Then you appear, together we're here, and that's all that matters somehow.
Yeah. So, that song has some interesting contrasts to it, because the verses themselves are kind of, how should I say? Like, there is some lyrics, I feel like I'm running out of energy while you just take everything in stride. The way I feel to you, it's no big deal. Hold on, let me just pause that so it doesn't go on to the gold acoustic version. To you, it's no big deal, sad, but it's true. That's the one thing I can count on, is that I can't count on you. Which obviously has kind of a sort of despairing vibe to it. But then the chorus comes in. You're lost, you're found, you're hard to pin down. I never know if you'll come through. Then you appear, together we're here, and that's all that matters somehow. So that's, I don't know, an interesting contrast, because the chorus feels more hopeful and a bit more positive, whereas the verses feel quite, I don't know, despairing in a sense, which makes me wonder, the chorus, is that about sort of the reunion of Team RWBY? They're just coming together and that's what matters to them. Whereas the verses, who's that talking about? That's interesting. That could be from the perspective of RWBY herself, but I can tell you in my heart I never thought you'd up and leave me, but that trace to lead me, and now you're standing here with that look in your eyes, the look that makes me hope I'll just believe your lies. I was going to say, is that like RWBY thinking about Ozpin? But then again, at this stage in the show, I can't remember. I try to remember. Well, no, they wouldn't actually at this stage in the show, would they? Because actually, Team RWBY only, well, bit by bit, they only link up with Ozpin again in a sort of staggered way throughout the volume. Obviously, RWBY first, and then Yang and Weiss, and then at the end, Blake. So yeah, at this stage, because I think obviously the whole deal with Ozpin, right, you know what, I'll talk about this actually in a second. Let's go to the post-reaction discussion. Like I say, technically there's 3 more tracks: Gold, the acoustic version, Armed and Ready, the remix, and Let's Just Live, another remix. But we're not going to listen to those for 2 reasons, because A, they're remixes. We've technically already heard those songs, and on top of that, flipping Internet Archive obviously being slow has just annoyed me, and I can't be bothered putting up with it today. I'm hoping it speeds up when we get to the Volume 6 OST reaction and all that. I don't know why it's running so slow today, it just seems to be. But yeah, okay, let's have a just a jump cut here. Let's go to the post-reaction discussion, and let's actually, have a bit more consideration of this particular song as well. So let's do that. Okay, yeah, well, let's just continue the conversation. Also, I've just noticed, for some reason, the face cam, I don't know if this is going to show up in the editing process, but just on the face of it now, it seems like the frame rate on the webcam is a little lower than usual. I'm really sorry about this. It feels like everything is going wrong today, and I don't know why. It's like Internet Archive's running really slowly. Now my webcam feels like it's slightly on the fritz. I don't know. I mean, it might not be really noticeable. It might just be me. But yeah, so continuing continuing on what I was saying about the All That Matters song. So yeah, it feels like the verses themselves, I'm sort of interested in thinking about, whose POV is that meant to be, those lyrics, and who's it referring to as someone who, the look that makes me hope I'll just believe your lies, that kind of thing. So it's very much giving the impression of, maybe this is RWBY's perspective and maybe she's having some internal doubts, maybe. But then again, the chorus then kicks in and it's a bit more hopeful, which, like I say, makes me think of Team RWBY reuniting. And you appear together, we're here, and that's all that matters somehow, which, makes me think of maybe, say, RWBY finding meaning and hope in the presence of friends, perhaps, who she can actually trust. But yeah, like I say, at first I was thinking of the verses more about sort of Ozpin and, the possibility of RWBY starting to figure out that maybe, he's lying to an extent, or maybe that he's perhaps, if not lying, perhaps holding bits of information, that kind of thing. But then again, there wasn't really something that, from what I remember, Volume 5 really delved into. That was really something that kicked in, particularly in Volume 6, when the characters really start to realise that Ozpin is maybe not telling them the entire picture, that kind of thing. So I don't know if it's necessarily about Ozpin, but that's a curious one. The other one I was thinking about was maybe it's about RWBY's mother. Maybe it's about Summer, just the line that I can tell you in my heart, I never thought you'd up and leave me. So that could be about RWBY and Summer, potentially, though that just makes me wonder about the line, the look that makes me hope I'll just believe your lies. I mean, that could also be about Summer, because obviously Summer probably never told, well, I say probably, clearly never did tell RWBY and Yang about where she was going. Obviously it was a secret mission and all that, the mission that she went on where she disappeared. So I would assume that probably she, back in the day, told them just, a convenient sort of, I'm just going on, Mommy's just going on another mission and all that, and then she never came back. So it could actually be about Summer, another one about that actually, now that I think about it. That could be an explanation as well. So I'm sure people down in the comments will let me know, what their thoughts on some of the themes are in some of these tracks and all that. So yeah, that's that one. I just wanted to start the conversation, the post-reaction conversation off on that foot, because I thought that was actually a particularly unique and interesting song. So yeah, I think that one and the one just before that, what's it called again? This Time, they felt like probably my personal favourites from that particular OST. It's interesting, like I said, I genuinely don't remember any of these tracks from when I watched Volume 5. I guess that just goes to show, maybe, again, that perhaps Volume 5 was just... Because Volume 5 was maybe kind of the weakest of the RWBY volumes, at least in my eyes, and no doubt the eyes of many people in the fandom, since I know Volume 5 is quite a divisive one. I guess that goes to show how, you know, compared to other RWBY volumes, whilst I can remember in broad strokes, like I could with Volume 4, what happens in the volume, I guess it goes to show how much I just don't remember from it, because maybe it just wasn't as memorable to me as other RWBY volumes, given all its issues that it, you know, the production of it did have and all that. It's interesting because, you know, here's a fun little story about when I reacted to Volume 5 back in the day. So, you know, if you go back on my channel however many years and you think, you know, when did I start doing RWBY content on Propagandist? I started with Volume 5 when it was airing, and that was obviously a blind reaction. But what was kind of interesting was that if you then look at the time gap between when I did my blind reaction to Volume 5 and when I then eventually did my blind reaction to Volume 6, you will actually notice there's a massive time gap between those two things, because I didn't react to Volume 6 when it was actually airing. In fact, I only reacted to Volume 6 when, you know, Volume 9 was in actual production and all that. So it was definitely probably at least a couple of years after Volume 6 had originally aired when I actually came to do my blind reaction to it. And the fun story about that is that, you know, Volume 5, it was such an interesting one given all the issues that it had, because, you know, part of the reason why there was a time gap between my reaction to Volume 5 and my reaction to Volume 6, partly that was due to work. My work at the time just got very busy, and as a result, you know, Propagandist became less of a priority for me, and as a result, you know, I just didn't find the time to do reactions. But also, I won't lie, it's because after Volume 5 and sort of the weaker issues that it had, you know, I genuinely at the time had wondered, you know, should I continue with this franchise genuinely? And then, of course, when Volume 6 aired, I did start to see a lot of people who were critical of Volume 6 back in the day, and who were like, oh, you know, this ruined everything, and that kind of thing. And I'm not going to lie, that did affect my my inclination to continue doing RWBY reactions for a while. But then eventually, you know, I started seeing signs that Volume 9 was in production, and I sort of came back to RWBY and thought, you know, I do remember really enjoying Volumes 1 through 3 of this show, and I thought, you know, I shouldn't let other people's criticisms on the internet dictate whether or not I react to Volume 6. And so then eventually I did do my Volume 6 reaction, and not gonna lie, I sat there and I thought, why did I let the impressions of random strangers on the internet constrain me from watching Volume 6 for so long? Because, you know, as I've said before, Volume 6 is probably one of my favourite RWBY volumes, and that's why then, after I reacted to Volume 6, I went straight through Volume 7 and 8, and then pretty much straight into Volume 9 when it started airing. And yeah, it goes to show, you know, people on the internet, sometimes they really exaggerate their criticisms of things, they blow them out of all proportion. Because the thing is, I'm not going to lie, you know, Volume 6 does have one or two issues, it does, from what I remember. Like, for example, I always come back to the line in the fight between Blake, Yang and Adam, where, you know, Blake and Yang say, oh, I'm not protecting her and she's not protecting me, we're protecting each other. And, you know, I get the meaning of that line. We've talked about that in previous videos on the channel, and people in the comments have let me know their thoughts on it. And like I say, I stand by my minor criticism that I think the wording of it is a bit clunky, but I do get the meaning that they're trying to convey with it. I just think maybe it could be phrased slightly differently. But people on the internet I've seen in the past have often taken that line and blown it, I think, out of all proportion. Because for me, that, although I have a minor gripe with that line, it is only minor, and you know, it's not a big issue. But I've heard people on the internet go on about that line as though it's the worst thing ever. And like, it's like, oh, you know, as soon as I heard that line, I just completely switched off RWBY. It was like, really? That line, that one probably quite throwaway line, that's the thing that turned you off RWBY completely? And yeah, like I say, that's just how it played out back in the day. Like I say, after Volume 5 and after I'd done my reaction to it, it was a combination of work just being very busy and as a result not having really much time to do propagandist content, plus the fact that I was seeing all these criticisms of RWBY Volume 6, making it out like it was the worst thing ever. And then I watched Volume 6 eventually and I thought, why did I listen to these things? I love Volume 6. I actually really enjoyed it. But it just goes to show how, you know, sometimes you've got to watch it for yourself and make your own judgment. And yeah, that might be something again that I have a discussion of when I eventually do my my volume ranking video and all that, which I think will be very interesting to see, because I'll probably talk a bit more about that once I actually get to that and I actually rank the volumes overall and all. So yeah, that was our Volume 5 OST reaction. I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there at the end. I don't think there's really much else for me to say. But obviously next time we'll be reacting to Volume 6. Hopefully Internet Archive will have sped up a bit by the time we get to that. But, I mean, if it doesn't, it doesn't. But that's fine. Now, Volume 6 is going to be an interesting one because the main volume theme, this is a curious one. I can remember bits of the main volume theme for Volume 6, but not the whole thing. And yet I still have memories of enjoying the Volume 6 theme overall, even though I actually don't remember all of it. And apart from that, there are other soundtracks. Sorry, I just spat all over my desk then. Don't know if you saw that on the camera. But like Volume 5, there are lots of other elements of Volume 6 where I don't remember the soundtrack. Indeed, Volume 7 and 8, I also just don't remember much of the soundtrack from those either, which is interesting. Volume 9, I actually do remember a bit more of the soundtrack from, namely the theme, and Volume 9, the Checkmate song, I remember that one, that was a good song. But yeah, like, Volume 5 through 8, I really struggle to recall some of the songs and some of the motifs from the soundtrack, which is really interesting, considering that, you know, some of those volumes from this era, like Volume 6 and even, you know, Volume 8, I did really enjoy overall, because they were very gripping. I just, for some reason, don't remember the soundtracks all that well. I guess because the on-screen action at times was so intense that I just wasn't paying any attention to the music and all that. But yeah, just something of interest that I think is worth noting before we eventually get to Volume 6 OST reaction and all that. Alright, that's enough from me. We'll probably wrap up here then in that case, ladies and gentlemen. So hope you enjoyed watching that. As usual, the usual outro spiel. Propagandist is my second channel. My main channel is General Red Strategist, where I do gaming content. You might be interested in that then, in which case there's a link in the description. Still need to get around to playing the RWBY games, Grim Eclipse and Arrowfell. I will get to them eventually, don't you worry. We'll get there in due course. Right, other than that, thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen, and join me next time where we'll react to the Volume 6 OST. Goodbye, everybody.